I never thought I'd build a steel fortress just to protect a damn mailbox, but when someone keeps smashing a part of your life every single week, you either break down or you fight back, and I wasn't about to let her win. Subscribe if you love true revenge stories that hit harder than karma itself, because this one still makes my heart race every time I remember the sound of metal meeting madness. The first time it happened, I thought it was kids, teenagers on a joyride, baseball bat in hand, doing the stupid things we all did once. I walked out the next morning, coffee in one hand, confusion in the other, staring at the splintered remains of my mailbox lying face down in the ditch like a fallen soldier. I replaced it, shrugged it off, and told myself it was nothing. But a week later, it happened again. And again. Every Friday night, right around midnight, someone would come tearing down the road and destroy my mailbox. The neighbors didn't see anything, my cameras somehow missed it every time, and the cops couldn't be bothered. Probably kids, they said. But I knew better, because I'd started noticing something strange. A red car that would slow down in front of my house, headlights dimmed, engine purring like it was waiting for something. The same car that belonged to my neighbor, the one who smiled too wide when she waved, the one who always complained about the noise of my power tools or the way my truck blocked her view of the street. Her name was Susan, and Susan had a temper. I'd seen it once when the delivery guy parked too close to her driveway. She came out screaming like he'd stolen her air. But I didn't have proof. So, I waited. For weeks, I tried everything. Motion lights, cameras, even sitting up at night with the blinds cracked just enough to see the road. But every time, I'd fall asleep before it happened, and wake to find my mailbox demolished again. The repetition started to feel personal. I'd spend my mornings cleaning up the wreckage, my afternoons rebuilding, and my nights glaring at her house across the street, wondering what satisfaction she got from breaking something I built. My wife told me to let it go. It's just a mailbox, she said. But it wasn't. It was the principle. It was mine. It was the one thing I refused to let anyone take from me. And every time I hammered a new post into the ground, I swore the next one would be the last. Until I finally decided to make that true. I'm an engineer by trade, and there's something dangerous about giving an angry engineer a reason to design revenge. I spent an entire weekend in my workshop, welding, cutting, and measuring until I had something that looked more like a small vault than a mailbox. 1/4-inch thick steel, reinforced with rebar, anchored 3 feet deep into concrete. The lid alone weighed nearly 30 pounds. I painted it black to look ordinary, but I knew the truth. It could probably stop a bullet. By the time I was done, it felt less like a mailbox and more like a challenge. Let's see you smash this, I thought. I installed it quietly, late at night, no one watching. Then I waited. Friday came. I barely blinked all day. I sat in my living room with the lights off, every nerve in my body wired tight. Around 11:47 p.m., I saw the faint glow of headlights creeping down the road. My pulse jumped. The car slowed, then stopped. I could see the red glint even through the darkness. Susan's car. She got out. She was holding something long, metal, and glinting under the moonlight, a crowbar. I could almost hear her muttering to herself, winding up for another swing. And then she did it. The first strike rang out like thunder. But instead of splintering, the mailbox sang back, a deafening, metallic clang that echoed through the night. She hesitated, then swung again, harder. Another clang. Sparks flew. She stumbled back, dazed, as the crowbar vibrated out of her grip and hit the ground. I should have felt satisfied, but what I felt was something darker, something cold. She wasn't done. She got in her car, reversed a few feet, and then slammed on the gas. When her car hit the steel mailbox, it was like watching a mosquito fly into a window. The sound was horrifying. Metal crunching, glass shattering, airbags exploding. I ran outside, heart pounding, phone in hand, ready to call 911. She was slumped over the wheel, dazed but alive. The front of her car looked like it had been folded in half. I yelled her name, but she didn't answer. The cops came fast this time. When they asked what happened, I told them the truth, or at least the version that wouldn't ruin me. I said I'd been having trouble with vandals and had reinforced my mailbox. I didn't say who I suspected. They called it an accident. Property damage, reckless driving. She was charged, fined, and humiliated. Her insurance skyrocketed, her car totaled, her pride obliterated. She moved a few months later, and the neighborhood finally slept quiet again. But here's where it gets strange, and where I learned that revenge doesn't end when your enemy leaves. About 6 months after she moved out, I started getting strange mail. No return address. Handwritten envelopes with nothing inside but short, cryptic notes. "You think you're safe," one said. Another had just a single word: steal. I thought it was a prank at first, but the handwriting was familiar, jagged, angry, the same way she used to write her complaint letters to the HOA. I laughed it off until one morning I found deep scratches all over my new truck. The same red paint marks I'd seen on her car. Except she wasn't here anymore. Or so I thought. A neighbor down the road swore he saw someone matching her description driving by late at night. I checked my cameras. Nothing. It was like she knew how to avoid them. Weeks went by with little things happening. My trash cans overturned, footprints in the mud near the mailbox, faint tapping sounds at night that vanished when I turned on the lights. I couldn't sleep. I even started parking my truck in the garage and locking everything twice. My wife thought I was losing it. "She's gone," she said. "You won." But it didn't feel like victory anymore. It felt like I'd invited something into my life that refused to leave. Then one night, I woke up to the sound of metal scraping outside. My heart jumped straight into my throat. I grabbed my flashlight and quietly crept to the window. The beam cut through the dark, and there she was. Not 10 feet from my porch, crouched beside the steel mailbox, her hands bloody, her hair wild, like she'd crawled out of the ground itself. She was scratching something into the steel with a screwdriver. When the light hit her face, she froze, and smiled. I'll never forget that smile. It wasn't human. It was broken, desperate, feral. Then she dropped the tool and ran. I called the cops again, but by the time they arrived, she was gone. No footprints, no car, nothing. They told me it was probably just a nightmare. Maybe someone else entirely. But when I went outside the next morning, I saw what she'd been carving. It wasn't a threat, it was a date. The day she crashed her car. The day she lost. The day I thought it was over. I spent that morning sitting on the porch, staring at it, feeling the weight of what I'd done. Because the truth is, I could have stopped her long before it came to this. I could have called the cops after the second time, filed a proper report, moved the mailbox closer to the house. But no, I wanted her to suffer. And in a way, she did. But she made sure I would too. A few months later, we sold the house. I told my wife I needed peace, that the place had bad energy. But deep down, I knew it wasn't the house, it was me. Every time I drive by a mailbox now, I look at it differently. I wonder about the people behind it, what quiet wars they're fighting, what grudges they're hiding. My new mailbox is ordinary, wooden, fragile. I keep it that way on purpose. Because every time I think about making it stronger, I remember the sound of her car hitting steel, and the way the night went silent afterward. Strength isn't always protection, sometimes it's provocation. Still, sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night thinking I hear the clang of metal outside. I go to the window, half expecting to see her again, hands gripping a crowbar, eyes burning through the dark. But there's nothing there, just the empty road, the wind, and the faint echo of my own guilt. Maybe she's really gone. Maybe she's somewhere out there, still nursing her wounds, still thinking about the man who wouldn't let her win. Or maybe, and this is the part that chills me most, maybe she never left at all. Maybe the things we destroy in anger don't die when we think they do. Maybe they wait. So yeah, I built a mailbox out of steel to stop a woman from breaking it. But in the end, all I did was forge a monument to my own obsession, a mirror made of metal that reflected every ounce of rage I thought I was protecting myself from. If you take anything from this story, let it be this: sometimes revenge doesn't end with the crash. Sometimes it starts there. Subscribe if you want more real stories where justice isn't clean, where payback isn't sweet, and where the line between right and wrong bends like steel under pressure, because what happened next, well, that's another story.